The thread between two worlds. That night, it was drizzling. The scent of incense filled Lan's small room. A young girl living alone in the city. Since her parents died in an accident, Lan often dreamed of them, but recently, the dreams were no longer warm, but full of darkness. In her dream, Lan saw a blurry figure standing behind her parents, her face unclear. Only her eyes were red as fire. Whenever she tried to run closer, that person would whisper, "You shouldn't call them back, they can't leave yet." Waking up, Lan often found the room cold. The candle on the altar swaying even though the door was closed. One time, she decided to go see a fortune teller. The old man looked at her for a long time and then said slowly, "You are not possessed by a spirit, but your soul is being tested by a force. When the heart is weak, the soul opens the door for things from the other world to enter." Lan began to meditate, chant sutras, and fast according to the teacher's instructions. But the more she chanted Buddha's name, the more intense the phenomena became. The shadow of that person appeared right in the mirror, looking at her with hateful eyes. One night, Lan could not bear it anymore. She shouted, "Who are you? Why do you keep clinging to me?" From the mirror, a voice rang out, like the wind. Like she was talking to herself. "I am the karmic debt you created in your previous life. When you pray for others, I cannot leave. If you want to escape me, learn to forgive yourself." Lan sat silently. Tears fell on the altar. She suddenly realized that for many years, she had lived in sin because she could not save her parents. Because she blamed her fate. It was that resentment that had nurtured the darkness in her soul. From that day on, Lan changed. Every night, she no longer prayed, but sincerely repented. The rain gradually stopped. The incense became lighter. One night, she dreamed of her parents again, but this time, there was no shadow behind them. They were just smiling, surrounded by golden light. Before disappearing, her father said, "When your mind is pure, no force can control your soul." Full moon message. Spiritual forces can only act when our mind is shaken. When resentment or fear opens the door for darkness to enter. But if we keep our mind bright and nurture blessings, even darkness will bow its head and retreat. Part 2: The person between two worlds. Part 2: The person between two worlds. Since the night the darkness disappeared, Lan felt a strange emptiness in her heart, both peaceful and heavy. She began to feel invisible waves of energy around her. Where there was resentment, the air would become cold. Where there was an unliberated soul, her ears would ring with an incomprehensible whisper. One day, while walking across the small bridge leading to the cemetery at the end of the street, Lan heard a soft cry in her ear. Looking around and seeing no one, she clasped her hands. "If anyone is here, let me help." At that moment, a cold wind swirled around, and the image of a child appeared, eyes as cloudy as mist. "I don't know when I'll die. I just want to go home." Lan was silent. She remembered what the monk had taught her. Not everyone who dies can go. There are souls who, because of karma, because of fear, stay. She set out a bowl of white rice, a glass of water, lit 3 incense sticks, and then chanted a prayer for the dead. When the chanting ended, the child smiled softly, fading away in the pale light. From that day on, Lan became a bridge between the two worlds. She did not summon spirits, did not tell fortunes, but quietly helped the wandering souls find their way. Whenever someone had a bad dream, heard a strange voice, or felt heavy-headed, they came to her, not to exorcise evil spirits, but to find out the karma behind them. One night, Lan dreamed that her deceased monk came to her and said, "You have entered the path of a spiritual medium. But remember, the more you save people, the thicker your karma will be, because you have touched things that mortals should not touch. Keep your mind pure, do not let your ego lead you." From then on, every time she helped a soul, Lan dedicated the merit, praying for both herself and the person to be free from karma. She understood that no one can save anyone completely. Only the light of the heart can save both. One morning, as the sun was rising, Lan sat meditating by the altar. In a moment, she saw her parents standing behind her, smiling peacefully. Behind them were countless lights, the souls she had helped. They clasped their hands in greeting and then gradually faded into nothingness. Lan smiled slightly. For the first time, she felt truly free, not only for her soul, but for all those who had ever wandered between the two worlds. Sparkle's message. The person who helps souls to be liberated is not someone with power, but someone with compassion and a bright heart. When the heart is bright enough, the darkness will find its way out. Part 3: The Door to the Underworld. After many years of helping souls to be liberated, Lan's energy grew stronger. But at the same time, she also felt something watching her. At night, when she meditated, the space around her was sometimes cold, the incense burned backwards, and the sound of the wind in the house sounded like a person breathing. Plunged into darkness, and from the familiar face stepped out. It was her face, but the eyes were as black as the abyss. "You thought you saved them? What about me? You left me in this dark world." Lan trembled, her heart beating fast. She understood, this was not another spirit, but her own karmic ego. The part of her soul still entangled in resentment and arrogance from previous lives. You saved them to prove yourself. You chanted sutras to be praised for your roots. You used compassion to feed your pride. You or me? The black smoke poured out from the mirror, wrapping around Lan, pulling her in, where the yin energy was heavy. The screams of countless souls echoed. In that moment, she remembered the words of her master from years ago, when entering the underworld. Only the true heart can light the way. Lan closed her eyes, clasped her hands, and chanted Buddha's name. No longer for saving people, not for attaining enlightenment, but only for a pure thought. A desire to resolve everything. The light in her heart spread out, spreading throughout the void. The black shadow howled, gradually disappearing. Before disappearing, it softly said, "Thank you, because you finally forgave me." The room returned to peace. The candle burned brightly, the incense smelled sweet. Lan opened her eyes, tears falling, but her heart felt lighter than ever. She understood that the greatest spiritual power is not outside, but within one's own soul. When one overcomes the ego, one will no longer fear any darkness. From then on, Lan no longer helps the dead in the old way. She teaches people to cultivate their minds, keep good deeds, and understand the law of cause and effect, because that is the true way to help the soul transcend. Later, people say that every time they pass by the old cemetery, they still see a small light in the middle of the night, where Lan used to sit and chant sutras. No one knows if she is still alive or has passed on to another world. They only know that the light has never gone out. Sparkle's final message. The spiritual world is not far away, it is hidden within each person's heart. When we purify our hearts, no longer have resentment, even in the underworld, we are still in the light.